Well, a New York high school senior has won her battle against her school after the school would not allow her to put Bible verses on a paid parking spot that seniors who can personalize those spots have at the school. Thank you so much for joining me today. We just had you on, obviously, to talk about this, Keisha, as the attorney handling this case just a couple of days ago. But what was your reaction to the school's response to the letter that First Liberty wrote? You threatened to sue if they weren't going to make this right, and now they have reversed course.
Yeah, and we meant it when we said we would have sued if they didn't reverse course. And so I was grateful because it's so difficult to put a student through litigation. I mean, it's difficult for anyone, but certainly I wouldn't want a high school student to have to do that. So I was grateful that we were able to resolve this with just a demand letter. And the other thing is just really exciting. Sabrina is just over the moon to be able to paint that scripture on her parking space. So that'll be happening this weekend, probably.
Yeah. And so for those who don't know, because we obviously cover this at CBN News and we've written a couple stories, but some people may be coming into this case not knowing the background. This, as I said at the top, was a situation where high school seniors at this school, they were able to personalize their parking spot and kind of paint on there whatever they wanted to do, but they had to submit a plan of what that was going to look like. Sabrina submitted her plan. It was rejected twice for having Bible verses and religious imagery. The third time it was accepted, but there was no religious wording on there. It was much more benign. And she decided to stand up and fight this battle, and really push back. How did you end up finding out about this case, and what was your initial reaction to it?
Yeah, Sabrina and her mother contacted us and asked if we could help. They felt like this was a violation of the First Amendment, so they wanted confirmation, number one, that they were right, and then they wanted to know if we could help them resolve the situation. So we said yes and yes. This is a violation of the First Amendment. It's a violation of the Free Speech Clause, and it's a violation of the Free Exercise Clause. So we decided we would write a letter in order to help Sabrina, and that's what we did.
How often are you seeing cases like this? Because, and before you answer that, here we are talking about this case, and you've dealt with a lot of cases, but there are many more we probably never hear about because people don't fight back or they don't stand up. How often are you having people like Sabrina and her mother reach out to you with situations like this?
Well, we get requests every day, and I would probably say education is top of the list. I think employment cases probably coming first and then education second for sure. So we get a lot of requests from teachers and students who feel like their religious liberty rights are being violated. And unfortunately, I've had to represent a number of students. One of them was, I think she was 13 when I represented her. She was told she couldn't pray in the cafeteria with her friends and like to themselves in a group. And so she was my youngest client. And it never ceases to amaze me that these students who are so young are so bold in their faith and so willing to stand up for their beliefs. Because I know there are a lot of students who just wouldn't do that. So I think these cases are extremely important because not only does it help that student, but it helps every other student who's watching.
So based on what you know, going back to Sabrina's case now, the school district backtracked. They're going to let her put the initial imagery that she wanted to on her space. What sort of happens next from their perspective? Did they give any sign of how they'll handle this in the future? Do we know?
We don't know. I can tell you that we will be watching to see how they handle this situation in the future. And hopefully we don't have to represent yet another student in their school district next year for the same reason. I'll also say that Sabrina does run the Bible club at that school, and that club is supposed to get all the benefits of all the other clubs at her school. So we just want to make sure that the school is honoring the Constitution in every single way. And so now that we know that they have an inclination to diminish the constitutional rights of their students, we'll probably be keeping a close watch on them for a while.
You read my mind because in our first conversation with Sabrina and you, we talked a little bit about that because I had asked her if she was surprised at all by the school's reaction to the parking spot. And she brought up the fact that, according to her, some of the advertisements and the posters that had been put up, if they had Bible verses on them or Bible language on them or Christian language, that they were rejected by the school for display. I was curious, and maybe you don't know this at this point or not, are there any issues there that need to be investigated at this point based on your purview and expertise?
Well, previous issues, we will likely maybe give them a pass on. We'll hope that this situation has taught them what they need to know, because we are in the business of educating educators about the Constitution and what it means. So if we see anything happening in the future, this year, Sabrina is going to continue her leadership role in the Bible Club. And we will be keeping in touch with her to make sure everything goes the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and while I have you, I guess, because I am curious about this, and I don't know if we could solve this here, and you would know. I mean, you're the legal mind. If you have a Bible club that should be treated like every other club, and they choose to have a scripture on their poster, and it's displayed like any other club's displays would be, you know, on a poster in the school, is that permissible? How does it work with language like that?
It is permissible. It's the same law that governs Sabrina's speech on her parking spot. And if the students are allowed to pick that message on those posters, then the school can't censor it just because it's religious. So it's the exact same principle that applies to Sabrina's parking space. So we hope that the school district will take our legal analysis under advisement and realize that it does, in fact, apply to the extracurricular clubs as well.
Well, I so appreciate you coming on and breaking this down. And obviously you're happy that you didn't have to take it any further and that the school responded in the way that you wanted to see them do that. Appreciate you, as always, joining us today.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for covering the story.